Welcome to Redzone In the Lab podcast. I am Deuce. And yes, this is fan appreciation week. We got fans coming on all week, every day this week. We actually had to add Saturday. So we're going to have a time on Saturday that we're going to come on. We really want y'all to be a part of this. So hit me in the DMs. Hit anyone that you seen on the Redzone In the Lab. Hit them in the DMs on Twitter. You can respond here. You can comment here on YouTube, whatever you want to do. But today, we're going to have some fans on. We're going to talk about Ron's tenure. We're going to talk about the future. And right now, the show is going. It's not going to be as long as it usually goes. Right now, I'm at the hospital. Shout out to my cousin Ace. He's doing better. I did a few hours of work up here, and I'm gonna do the pod up here. Then I'm gonna get back down the road because of the rain. So we're not gonna go as long as we usually go, but we are gonna chop it up about Ron and what it is to look forward to. And also, we was talking about Dan Quinn. DT is going to be joining me today too, talking about the DT and the Dan Quinn hate. So we're going to talk about that right off the top of the hour. So right after this, let's get into some Commanders.
Shout out Redzone In the Lab podcast.
Hey, what up, y'all? It's Benjamin St. Jude's, DB for the Washington Commanders. I want to give a big shout out to Redzone In the Lab podcast.
Welcome back to Red Zone in the Lab podcast. You know what's crazy? So on the phone, I just see you. Like this is what I see when the intro was playing. Like I can't see or hear the intro. So I don't know if that's. I wonder if the people that join on their phones. I wonder if they can see it on their phones. But I
Man,
can't.
sure, I didn't do that.
Huh?
I didn't even know you could do that.
Yeah. I was like, I don't know. But anyhow. But all right. So Dan Quinn. I'm sorry for the background. It's a little drama going on in the background at the hospital, but in the cafeteria. But Dan Quinn, man, like, why you think is Dan Quinn hate? I mean, what he's done in the defense in Dallas, that's something, man.
So I think this is the thing for hate for Dan Quinn. I think people are still remembering his time when he was with the Falcons. I think the biggest downfall for Dan Quinn was not finding the OC after Kyle Shanahan to help uplift the offense. And then a lot of the guys on the defense, they were getting a little bit older and started to spend a little bit more money on that side. So I think the managing for that part was probably the problem with him that everybody could hate for. Although that was his first stint as a head coach in the NFL. But I think he's a solid coach. And for what we've seen his defense now, they're not structurally built to really stop the run consistently, but they're one of the best defenses in our division and also in the NFL by creating turnovers and getting after the quarterback and tackles for loss. So I like Dan Quinn, but I just don't understand the hate for it. I think he's a solid coach. I think people would fight for him just like they would fight for Ron Rivera.
Yeah, it's man. The net is so wide. But Breeze, do you think it's odd that we're also reaching out for our head coach vacancy before we have the VP in place? I mean, I don't, but do you?
I think it's a little bit weird, although it's never a problem kind of getting a head start on it. I did kind of have that thought. It's like, yo, it is a little weird that they're interviewing head coaches at the same time they're interviewing the GM slash president of football operations person that's supposed to hire the head coach. But I also know that Mayhew and Hurney are at least saying on through the process of hiring the general manager. So, hiring the president of operations. So it kind of worked both ways. So it's a little weird, but it's nothing too crazy.
Yeah, and just to kind of clear that, because I know some people was asking,
Hey,
and y'all
Auntie.
correct me if I'm wrong. Um, yeah, shout out to everybody in the chats for sure. Hit that like button, get that algorithm working. And again, the show is not going to be as long as it usually is. Um, I'm at the hospital with my cousin. Shout out to him, he's doing better. I had this couple hours of work up here too, but I got to hit the road because the rain coming down. So and I don't want to take the pod on the road. And we also waiting for our guests to come on. They're also having some issues with the rain and some school delays and stuff like that. So we might got to reschedule them on. But so they're hiring someone to be, I think it's the president of football operations.
Yeah.
So that's basically going to be directly under the owner. But I wonder, and I think this is just the football side, because I think Cam mentioned on the Kevin Sheehan show that uh, the business operations, nothing needs to happen over there, or everything is fine. Something to that extent. He said, basically saying that Josh Harris ain't even thinking about the business side. Like the business side is what it is, what it's set.
Business
So that
side
kind
probably
of
been the best it's been in years. It just sold out every
yeah,
game of the
yeah,
season.
yeah.
It's like,
Yeah, exactly. So it's like I think Jason Wright is good. You know what I'm saying? So that's one thing. So, but Peters is, I mean, I said Peters, like we ain't even hired a dude yet. But Bob Myers and Chris Spielman and Josh Harris are looking for someone to oversee all of the football operations. And I know Josh Harris had mentioned, and we can start with UDT. He mentioned the other day that he rather have a split between the general manager and the head coach, but he said he'll leave it up to whoever they choose to run the football operations. Do you have a preference?
For me, I'm always with to be the standard way of going. I prefer to have, the guys above you do what they're supposed to do, and then let your football coaches coach your players to get them ready for Sunday. And I think that should be the right way of direction for this team. And again, we haven't really had that direction for this team for a while. It's always been, sometimes coach centric with, Ron, and maybe a little bit with Joe Gibbs for his second stint. And then even we tried the regular way, but there was always questions within, Jay Gruden and what was going on, Scott McCool and Bruce Allen. And then even when Mike Shanahan was here. So I would prefer, to go this direction. I think it leaves a lot of stress and it lets a lot of people do what they're supposed to do. And we're you look at the list, some of the best names we've seen, we talk about in the league so far. So this is an exciting time for not only just us as fans, but overall we're seeing the product of Washington starting to build itself.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Where you at with it, Breeze?
I mean, I agree. My preference is for their. I think I might have said it yesterday, but for owner to hire, president of pro personnel, even the owner to hire excuse me, president of football operations, or owner to hire the GM hire head coach, and so forth and so forth. All the way down the line. I would rather my head coach not be doing both jobs, just because at the professional level, like Josh Harris said, those jobs individually require a lot of time. You know what I mean? So for one person to be pulling double or triple duty, you know what I mean? That's a lot to ask of one person. Even if they want that responsibility, like that's a lot to ask of one person. You know what I mean? So I really just want. I would prefer to have, what I mean, both coaches. I mean both positions separate.
Yeah, I agree, man. Yeah, Jeff, work on that. You got 3,500 hours to go, man. 5,000 hours, man.
Hmm.
Yeah, man, it's the dawn of a new era for sure. And what y'all hearing about Friday that South was talking about in the chats was Cam had mentioned that on his podcast yesterday that he think there will be a hire done within the week. And I think South added his little salt and pepper film. The film father said by Friday. I don't know, man. Like a lot of the interviews was moved up today.
Right.
Um, which I was like, wow. I mean, they did a lot of them. Did y'all see the house that they doing the interviews in down in Miami? It's
Yeah.
crazy. So
I haven't seen it.
that house is crazy. So and I'm sure they are like sending these people to jets, man. If they ain't already up there, they sending these people to jets, bringing them in, man. I mean, they probably got Magic Jet, they might got Magic Yacht. You know what I'm saying? Like and this is a plus to having like all these guys, these owners that's all on the same page because they all got jets, I'm sure. They got yachts, so they could just send them out here and there, just bring everybody in. That right there, man, itself is so exciting, man. But we got Coach in the building, man. Coach Close in the building. What's good, man?
What's going on? What's going on? How y'all doing, man?
Good.
Good, man.
Chilling,
Good,
chilling. What's
man.
up, bro? How you feeling?
I'm living. I guess I can't complain too much. I decided to rock the glasses today, so
I
this ain't my
see.
normal look, but we're gonna do it for right now.
Oh, he got the elite mic and everything. Hey, Coach,
Yeah,
man.
man. We do this, man. We do this.
Ain't you and Corey cousins?
Yes, that is my cousin.
Yeah. Corey Sanchez, man. I love Corey, man. Him, and oh, I can't think of his name. I can't think of his name. He's literally a part of the team, and I can't think of his name. He's gonna be mad. Well, anyway, them two of the funniest dude that we got in the whole community, man. Them dude's crazy funny, but
Please. Gotta fix that algorithm.
Let me not tell the stories about him. He used to hang out with the old people when we were growing up, and then I hung out. Then we hung out. We took a trip to West Virginia, and then I saw who Corey really was. I was like, "Oh, I can hang with this guy."
Big Simple. I don't know why I couldn't think of him.
Yeah,
Big Simple.
Big Simple.
Him and Big Simple, man. They are the funniest
Hilarious.
dudes
Hilarious.
in the community, man. Them dudes is crazy funny. But yeah, man, thanks for joining us, man. We got CeeLo in the building. Paris. We got CeeLo Paris.
I'm in Southeast.
That's rare. He's not gone somewhere. What?
he just got back.
I'm about to say.
Southeast.
But all right. So Coach Close, man. Ron Rivera's tenure. We talked about this a little bit yesterday, but starting without mentioning the Trent Williams, because I think that's the first on everybody's list. What did you think about that hire? Did it look suspicious? Did it look like we really didn't try? And what do you think the worst move that he made in this whole tenure?
I don't think it was a suspicious hire. I thought up front at face value, I thought it was a good hire. I looked at it from the aspect of just the type of person that he was. Now, granted, this was the first time that he's actually been in control of the football operations, but as the face value of being a football coach, I thought it was a good hire for Washington. I mean, he's a two-time coach of the year. He's taken his team to the Super Bowl, so I mean, there's potential that was there laid out for him to come in and get the job done. So
yeah, what was the worst move?
What was the worst move? I mean, you want to? This is a long list. You can go the Carson Wentz route. You can talk about the whole debacle when it comes to the Alex Smith situation.
We didn't talk about that one.
I forgot all about Alex Smith.
So,
I'm like,
I mean, so we don't talk about that, but that's part of it too. The whole how the Chase Young thing was handled. A lot of things that happened. You want to blame Dan, but Ron was a big part of why things went bad. A lot of it was him and his management style. Now, granted, I know most of you guys saw the clips from the article that Standig put out, but just to see about you're trying to get ahead of the narrative, like you're a football coach, dude. That is why I think if Ron and Bill O'Brien have shown why you don't do the coach-centric approach. Go get you a GM and get the job done because dude, you're worried about what the narrative is. Just worry about football. Bring in football guys. You want to talk about mistakes? Look at all of his drafts. All of them are mistakes. Every single last one of them. Every bit of talent that's on this team was here before him.
Yeah, and
So
I think like outside of and we did this a few weeks ago, right? We looked at the roster when he came and the roster now. The roster now is better, but it's not like a winning the argument better. It's like barely better. Like you can really choose which side you want to be on, and that's bad. And on
yeah,
top of that, coming with having the second and leaving us with the second is even worse. But something you just brought out that I didn't think about and we didn't discuss yesterday. I'm gonna start with CeeLo. We go around the room. Dan versus Ron.
Yeah, man. You mean like how much Ron? I mean, how much Dan was involved, and then how?
Yeah, like cause like like Dwayne just said Ron was just as you know wrong or whatever as Dan as far as the roster and the team is concerned.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think honestly, man, I don't really put much on Dan. I mean, outside of the cash, stuff where he was probably unwilling to do some of the maneuvering that other owners are willing to do, like up there in Philly and other places, and like in the Rams. But outside of like that piece, man, I think this was all on Ron. The draft was on Ron. I don't even think Dan. Y'all correct me wrong. I don't even know if Dan was in the room in the 2020 draft, but in general, I think Ron he ran the show. You know what I'm saying? And when you and then you backs it up with that standing article, right? He was
That
not. He was not in it for football reasons. Yeah,
nope.
other stuff going on, and I felt just completely cratered this entire last 4 years. So yeah, man,
Um,
I mean, as much as I dislike, and want to pin it all on, yeah, the Dan effect. I think this is gonna run all by himself, bro.
yeah. Braswell, I think this is your first time joining. We definitely appreciate you joining and joining us. And Kat, which is new to the new to the spaces, she definitely made her presence known the last couple of days. We appreciate you for joining. Um, so like when it comes to the money, Breeze, I mean, should Ron get an excuse for that? Because like a lot of the Ron apologists, well, he ain't had no money, he ain't have authority to make this, and that. I mean, you can look each year and pull out some big deals, but how do you feel when it comes to that?
I mean, he gets a very slight pass for me. Very, very slightly. I won't call it a pass. I'll put an asterisk next to it. But again, like when you double down on things like I'm the one that went out and got Carson Wentz and I banged the table for this guy and I wanted Jamin and we wanted Emmanuel. Like when you do things like that and double down on the fact that, oh no, regardless of what's happening here, I wanted these people. Then that it has to fall back on you. Like we understand the money issue and the spending thing to a certain extent, especially this last off season. But I mean, over the last 4 years, like this roster was built the way he wanted it to be built, and ultimately, I think that the way the team was built had just as much to do with him losing his job as the result on the field.
Yeah, Garage Gym Life. Appreciate you for joining. Yeah, we talked about that yesterday, and Dwayne, I mentioned yesterday that Ron had a vision, right? He had a vision on the coaches he wanted. He had a vision on the players he wanted, what type of players, what type of coaches, and I think he did. I really believe he accomplished that. It didn't lead to winning,
no,
but I think he accomplished that, right?
no.
So, what do you think about that point?
I think what Ron did was he picked players for the wrong reasons. So,
Absolutely.
I mean, that's just as simple as that. Why was Jamin Davis a first round pick for the Washington Commanders? Because he had a military background. Not because of his football play, because he had a military background. That was one of the main key points that Ron pointed out when he drafted. Oh, he had a military background. Who gives? Excuse my friend, but who gives a shit? Who cares about you having a football background? I mean, a military background. That's not. Oh, sir, yes, sir. I'm a military guy. That's why I'm going to bring him. That's the wrong reason to make a pick. The Emmanuel Forbes thing. You draft a zone corner and you put him in man. What are you doing? If you wanted to do that, you could have gone ahead and drafted Christian Gonzalez. And if you want to say, well, Christian Gonzalez got hurt, hey, Christian Gonzalez was more of an effect on the field. He was just as effective on the field than Forbes was this year. So what are you talking about?
In what, 4 games?
Hello? Exactly. Hello?
He legitimately valued what he viewed as because we've seen character flaws in a lot of these dudes now.
Yeah.
But he valued what he viewed as high character over talent, essentially. And I'm not saying we got to get a team full of criminals, but your job is to win football games. We're not Boy Scouts. Like we got to go. You know what I mean? Like I don't know, man.
I mean, here's the deal. So you drafted the way you drafted. And then when people get on you about it, you said, well, when I was playing, we did, bro, this ain't 1980. This isn't, I'm drafting the guy in the first round for him to sit. I'm drafting, when you draft somebody in the first or second round in 2024 or 2023, or however you want to call it, in this day and age, if you draft them, they're supposed to be playing. You draft those players. These are fringe. If you're a second round pick, you're a fringe first round pick. You could have gone in the first round. Let's just be honest. Let's call it a spade, especially if you're picked at the top. You were in 2020 at pick number 2, so which means you turned around again, you had pick number 34.
That's actually very true.
Yeah.
So
this comment right here is very nasty, Garage Gym Life.
But it's true though.
It's so true. Can you see it, Dwayne?
I see it.
And those that are listening, respectfully, Jameis' parents have a military background. He just lived on a few bases.
That's crazy, but it's true.
Yeah, man. So like DT went, man, like the roster construction, and I think, you just put it up. Braswell, and please, I hope that I'm not butchering your name, bro.
They haven't built anybody.
That's what I'm saying. Like it seemed like he relied a lot on like every pick in his draft to really contribute, whether they were good or bad. He just leaned on them, and I think it was because he wanted to control this team, if that makes sense. Because he didn't bring in no like really high price, high character veterans, to be honest.
I mean, we talked about it last night as far as who his best free agent pickup was, and we were basically stuck between a third string running back and a
underperforming tight end,
and a cornerback that was drafted here and was born and raised here that probably wanted to be here anyway. Like those were the three people that we were stuck between. Like there was no definitive. Oh yeah, that was a great pickup. Like we can look at almost every regime before him and say, regardless of how it ended, that was a good pickup. For whatever reason, these 4 years of Ron, we cannot legitimately say that.
I can legitimately say, and you can say how you want to say it. If we would have followed the Shanahan path, we'd be talking a different conversation right now. And you can call it how you want to see it. That what Mike Shanahan, if they would just let him do his thing, we'd be having different conversations. Honestly, even when you got Jay Gruden came in here, everybody that's left that's good is Jay Gruden's.
Yeah,
your cornerstones. You paid your tackles. You paid your defensive tackles, so they are now your cornerstones of your franchise. You've paid them, unless you trade John Allen. You've still paid those guys. Those are both Jay guys. You have Terry McLaurin. That is a Jay guy. Your three top 3 players are Jay guys. You traded away one of your Jay guys in Montez Sweat.
Didn't Jay draft Kendall Fuller too?
He did. That's a Jay guy too.
Hey, one thing about Jay, he probably wasn't the best coach. He had
Jay could find some talent though.
But here's the thing with Jay, and I'll always say this: Jay Gruden's problem was he wouldn't hire a real defensive coordinator
because he was afraid. He was a bingo. He was insecure, and now that I kind of think about it, I see why. I mean, look how unstable Bruce and Dan is.
Yeah.
You get a hot guy in here, they might just fire
You
Jay and make him
you
head
clip,
coach
yeah,
just like that. Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
sir.
so I could see, man. I could see for sure. Um, where it gets started with where we at now, DT is something that Josh said in his presser yesterday about I'm not here to rebuild. I'm here to contend. What does that have to say? Because I know there was a crowd out there that does trade Terry, trade John Allen, that start over from the bare minimum. Like we don't really have nothing anyway. So y'all knew I never figured out why people think it's a huge rebuild because we don't really have anything. But what do you think about those comments, man? And this is coming from somebody that did the process in the NBA. This is why I said the NBA and the NFL is entirely two different leagues.
I mean, it is. I mean, you've seen some of the process. Talk about the 76ers. It took them a massive while for them to become the team where they're at now with Joel Embiid
Oh,
being
5 6 years,
5 6 years. But
and they
now,
missed on two high first round picks, by the way, too,
Sure did. Fultz is one of them.
and Jaleel
yeah,
Okafor.
now with the NFL, it's that process has started to show it can flip mighty easily with cap room and using a quarterback on a rookie deal. And we've seen good examples in the past couple of years. We've seen this year with CJ Stroud in Houston. Although that team's been building for a while, it was a plug and play situation. You getting D'Amico Ryans and they put all the assets in and they flipped and now they literally just won the division and they're playing on Saturday. So I think that's kind of like the balance with like this team right now because it's like I don't think this team is completely trash. Like I understand the
Yeah.
record, it is what it is, but like a lot of these guys were on this team when we were 8-1, and there's only like what 3 to 4 different players up here. Like it's very weird to me how it shifted like that, but I think that's gonna be the hard balance, man. Like I don't know where we're gonna be. Like we could be somewhere around 4th place again, or probably even 3rd if we advance over the Giants. Because I think we could definitely pass over the Giants. We just got to get over the hump to beat them.
I think
Yeah.
I agree. I agree with you. I think the biggest thing with this roster, like it's not completely devoid of talent. It's not entirely trash, but it's the usage of a lot of these players. A lot of these guys have to be used a specific way to get the most and the best out of them. If they aren't used that exact way, then you end up with 32nd ranked defense or your number one receiver waiting until the last drive of the season to get over 1,000 yards, despite the fact that he played every game. You know what I mean? You get stuff like that. You know what I mean? You get a running back that we all feel like could be a starting running back that barely touched the ball, that didn't get enough carries this year. You know what I mean? Like just
Yeah,
usage is a big thing with a lot of these guys.
yeah, and to be honest with you, the best rookie class we saw was 2020. All of them peaked in 2020.
Yep, for sure.
Oh my
Well,
gosh,
yeah,
I didn't even
yeah,
realize that. You right, huh?
yeah.
Will
Chase,
will will will, will
Cam,
Forrest peaked in
Forrest got
21
hurt.
because he was hurt.
Yeah, yeah.
My goodness, yeah.
Cam and Chase peaked.
But okay. Let me ask you this though. Let me ask you this, and you can start with you, Coach, and lead that up because I want to before we go to the next question. What Garage just posed. This is what I was talking about Ron wanting to control the locker room by cutting AP. Like to me, I think Gibby would be a much better running back today if they kept AP on this team.
I
Agreed.
agree.
Um,
I agree.
and Cat, I'm in a hospital cafeteria. That's why I don't have a tripod. Um, so Coach, we all know that this coaching is horrible. I mean, you and Breeze. I mean, we got two coaches in the building that coach at programs that win, right? That win a lot. So if you think the coaching is as bad as it is, do you really think these players fell off as much as they did in a year because of their talent?
I think I'm gonna be 100% honest. I think a lot of them checked out before the season even started. Especially
Wow.
the secondary. You're not going to you. There's no way. There is no way you can come to work every day and be okay with that. What you put on the product you're putting out consistently on a week to week basis when you think you're playing at a high level. There's no way to get completely just consistently. You're getting roasted left and right. Everybody's just left in the dust. That on national TV in front of everybody, what DJ Moore did to you, like what? How do you not say, oh, I'm okay, it's okay, we're gonna get over it and keep it pushing, but it's consistently, it's
100% true.
like
Well, trigger trail, trigger trail.
the position flex. You got that's the most ignorant. Listen, I understand as a football coach, you want players to be able to be flexible. I need you to be able to play multiple positions. I understand that, but you play people where they need to play, and you, if you have to cater your system to change it to meet the standards of to play a high level of football, you do so. For instance, we as a football team, the team that I coach, we were 7-0. And our quarterback play was awful. It wasn't the level that we expected. So we benched our starting quarterback and changed quarterbacks.
No.
And we continued to roll like nothing ever happened. And our passing levels, our yardage per game passing shot up. So I mean, you take it for what that's worth, but yeah, that position flex stuff is.
Yeah, the
Ron
position.
can kick rocks.
Yeah. Because the problem with position flex is that somebody said it on the podcast earlier this year, is that, and even the spaces, is that with position flex, the problem with that is they may be able to do a lot. They may be decent to good at a lot of things, but they aren't great at any one thing. Yep. And then you try to lock them into a box to try to get that out of them, and they aren't. At some point, there's going to be some fall off or drop off because they just aren't good enough to do it consistently. What's up, Kane? As far as coaching, I agree 100% with the secondary, because like Chris Harris was widely viewed as like one of the best D-back coaches in the league at the time.
Yep.
He leaves and goes to Tennessee? He went to Tennessee, right? He leaves and goes to Tennessee, and then you bring in Brent Vessel, whatever his name is.
Vesselmeyer.
But he was already here though.
He was already here.
He was snuck in when JDR first came.
Okay. Yeah, he's JDR's friend. He was the linebacker coach or assistant linebacker coach.
Okay, but his defensive back experience is what? Coaching high school?
Yeah, he was a high school head coach. Come on, man.
Well, he coached with him in Jacksonville.
Okay.
He does have NFL experience, but
I know he has a little bit of
all his stops are with Jack Del Rio.
Yep.
Nobody else.
That's true.
So you take this coach that everybody loved and respected, and you replace him with Brent. And a lot of I think a lot of them dudes like, man, who is Brad? Like who is like this XYZ been working? Like who is man, we good. And I think a lot, like, I don't want to say they fully checked out before the season, but definitely as the season went on and what was being taught and asked of them wasn't working. And like, man, whatever, bro. Yeah, they were like, man, whatever, bro. And you get people reverting back to what they know or what they think they do best, and you get corners jumping routes that they shouldn't be jumping and getting beat deep. You get safeties looking elsewhere and missing the coverage on the backside. Like you get, you get stuff like that. So
that's crazy.
Can I ask a question for the room real quick? I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead. Just real quick. Everybody hold on. Everybody in the chats, please hit that the like button. Let's get those algorithms running. Any shout outs on the comments?
No.
I think we good. We just all right. Good. We good. All right. Yeah. Go ahead, coach. Go ahead.
Can anybody tell me what the team's identity was this year?
You said this year
on either side of the ball?
A period.
We identified as a punching bag this season.
I know it's cheesy. You guys have heard me say it, but again, the standard is the standard, and there was no standard that was ever put forth by this team. We didn't do anything that was like there was. You say no excuse, like what? But what was your standard? There's no way you come to work every day and say that was your standard. Like what? So what's your identity? Like how do you move forward as a professional to say you get better? Who do you think deserve? Like, how do you say to yourself, I deserve to be here next year? Like, what's your standard? What's your identity? What do you do well?
I mean, that's been the struggle for a while now. You know, we talk about, hey, these are things that we want to do and we want to establish, but it's always a fight and a battle. And this is what I said last night. And now reading the article from Standing, a lot of that stuff
Oh
that I
my
said last night
gosh.
was true. Um, Ron did not step in a lot to fix issues because of his optimism was so bright, but not realizing like, hey, this is hurting the team.
Yep.
This needs to be fixed. Like, it shouldn't take you almost 10 weeks to realize that, hey, like, this defense that we're running is not working. Let's fix it. And then all of a sudden, our defense is last half of 2021 is top 10, top 5 again. And we still having these problems. Then I think that has been the ultimate problem with Ron, and also as a team overall. That's been the identity problem, not stepping in to fix issues that need to be fixed.
And you know the crazy thing is about this, and you could say however you want to say it, but over the last going back through the Shanahan years, or even prior, this team had always had some type of identity. With when Shanahan was here, you were going to run it right down your throat.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when Jay was here, we're going to air you out, and we might not stop you on defense, but we're going to air you out. We're going to put up some points. We're going to get some yards. But with Ron, outside of the 1 year, what has been the identity with this team? You had the defense the 1 year, but what's been the identity? You know what I mean?
I mean, we haven't had one. We haven't had
We
one.
haven't. It's
Like,
it's a sad, and that's the thing moving forward. Like when people, and Brad, we definitely appreciate that, bro.
Absolutely, Brad.
Continue to keep tuning in.
it's gonna be a fun off season.
Subscribe, be here. Yeah, this gonna be like we had some dates and we was gonna stop for a few weeks, but we might need to look at that.
I'm here.
We might need to take a look at that.
Me and my red cup here all off season, baby.
And we definitely gonna ask Coach to come back a few times for sure, man. But like that's the thing with EB, and you know I'm gonna ask this and then because we need to shut down a little bit. I do apologize, like I told a lot of people that was here earlier. We're not gonna go as long as we usually go. I worked out here at the hospital with my cousin. You know, he's doing better. I appreciate all your concerns. But then I gotta hit the roads. That rain out there and it's kind of flooding. So, but that's the one thing with ED, right? It's what was your identity this year? Like, what were you able to do? Okay, Sam Howell's close to 4,000 yards passing. All right, cool. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that development. Like all of them questions is going to be asked of him. And as of right now, we haven't heard anyone requesting to interview him. And there's nothing that we even is interviewing him. I think we will, but remember, he also has. I think he has a relationship. No. Martin Mayhew has the relationship with Peters. If we hire Peters, so. But that's going to be something to say. But all right, so let's talk about this, Dwayne. Before we head out, the wide net, man. They cast in the net everywhere. I mean, everywhere you look, we asking people to come in. But at the top of the show, we talked about, is that odd to you that they're also requesting interviews for head coaches, being as though the VP is not in place?
No, I don't think so, because most of the coaches are in the playoffs, so they're just getting ahead of the games that they know that, all right, these are people that we should just go ahead and get looked at, because I really feel like the head of the football ops, I think that'll be locked in honestly by the end of the week. I'll be surprised if it's not, or not the end of the week, but even within the next week, I think it's locked in. I truthfully think the guy they really want is Peters. So I think that's the guy that. Like, yeah, that's the golden goose. I said that. I want to be on record. I said that for everybody else, that Adam Peters was the guy that I thought that they were probably going to target, and here we are. So I think that's the guy that they're going to go with, and then from there they'll move forward to see what the next steps are for the GM, and then the GM they'll follow through with the head coach. So all of this stuff is going to fall into place quicker than what people think it is. I personally think, I think the cast in the wide net. I think it's a good job. It's a smart idea. I think bringing Bob Myers in was a great job from the aspect of winning. Everybody looks at it from he's a basketball guy. What are you doing? It's not that. He's a winner. He has relationships on both sides, on the National Football League and the National Basketball Association. He has relationships. Adam Peters and him went to school together. Oh, so hello. So I mean, that's why people have to sit there and look at it from face value and say, what's he doing? He doesn't know anything about football, and say, he's an evaluation of talent. He's a winner. He's won 4 NBA championships. He built an NBA championship caliber team and won 4 championships.
Dynasty.
Bingo.
Literally
Bingo.
Dynasty.
Bingo.
Yeah, man. So Zion, I do not want to mess up your name. I'm gonna say Zion, we definitely appreciate you. Continue to come back, subscribe, follow us. Sabrina, I think this is your first time. Appreciate you. And I think in Facebook you have to give permissions to streaming services to put your face or whatever, I think. But I definitely agree, Coach. Like I don't see anything wrong with the way that they're doing this. I mean, shoot, they may even have somebody that they already know that they want. I mean, I think so. I think that's how the NFL works.
Absolutely.
It ain't no surprises. But did you see that house that they having all the interviews in?
Yeah.
Miami?
Oh yeah.
That
Joe clean. Let me tell you.
And everything is moving faster because remember, first Peters was like Tuesday or Wednesday, and then it's like everybody they moved to Tuesday. It seemed like. So this is very exciting, and that's a good thing about having billionaires around you because there's more jets, more yachts that they can send out and get people in. So that's definitely another plus. So we know Peters is your guy. Go ahead.
Hey, before we close, no, we can continue with the GM conversation. But before we close out, I want to touch on this 2020 draft class real quick.
All right, cool. And we need to do that Ben Standing. We need to do that too one day. We got to go through that. That joint is nasty. I might reach out to him because he came on the show before. So head coach, yesterday, one of the things Josh Harris said that he's going to leave it up to the president of football operations about the GM and head coach duties. Like, how does he want it to? He wanted to be together or separate. And Josh said he preferred for it to be separate, but he'll let him decide. What do you prefer, Coach Dwayne?
Separate. And it's two completely different jobs. I need the coach to coach. That's your job. It's just like it's no different than high school. You have an athletic director. The athletic director puts everybody in a place. Coach, you just coach. I'll handle everything else. It should be the same thing. It's the same thing with whether you're at the college level. Look, I mean, outside the coaches have to recruit sometimes, but it's coaches. You just coach. I'll deal with all the other stuff, the political stuff, the politics behind the scenes. Worry about the players. You do your job. I'll put people in position for you. So no, I really believe it's two separate jobs. If Bill O'Brien and Ron Rivera have shown us anything, and honestly, even Bill Belichick having control of the roster in New England. That roster in New England it doesn't work. It does not work. This isn't Pee Wee football where this isn't no like AYF. If y'all familiar with the DMV area, this ain't no PME. So this ain't that. So this is not where I don't believe coaches should be the GM picking players. Nope, let me go get my own GM. It's two separate roles. You deal with the X's and O's, and I will go ahead and get you the people. I will talk to you about who you think we should get, but I'm going to make the pick myself.
Yeah, I agree. Kim, I appreciate that. And Danny, yeah, I've never seen a team unravel. Like this is precedented. Like this is bad. Huh? And that Ben Standing letter, not letter, but piece. That thing is, man, my goodness, is It's bar after bar after bar. It's like that Cat Williams interview. That's what that Ben Stein. It's like that Cat Williams interview.
Change your lane.
Yeah, that junk crazy. Kevin, I'm not sure. Robinson Jr. Appreciate you. Yeah, I think this is what I think, and then we're gonna go to 2020 about. I think it's gonna be used as a bargaining chip, right? If you want to go after somebody big time like Harbaugh, for instance, you might want to kind of be like, look, you're gonna have some GM duties, or we'll split them or something like that. Offer that to him if that's what it takes to get him. If he's really your guy, but a young guy like Slowick or Ben, you definitely want to have GM in place. So I think it just depends who they want to bring in, and if they want to use that as a bargaining chip or not. And I think that's kind of why Josh, I kind of mentioned that.
I think it's really can be as simple as from a GM or president. Hey, what kind of identity do you want your team to have? Did you hire a head coach that aligns with that ideology or that thought process, and then let them hire the coach again, hire a coach staff, and then y'all can work together to build that team. But the GM still has final say on it, because ultimately these players and this GM will probably outlive this coach as it pertains to being just the way coaching is designed to be. You know what I mean? These players will be here longer than this coach will be. So I want somebody to fit what I want to do as a president or GM or whatever, and so on and so on. You can't have a GM that say I want a team that's hard nosed, power run, then you go hire somebody to run an air raid offense. Like it don't align. It don't work.
Well, look, we got another coach in the building. We coach Greenwood High School. What's up, Coach? Coach Brad.
Coach.
But yeah, go ahead, Breeze. 2020.
All right, so this 2020 draft, we can all agree that 2020 was the best draft, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. So at least, I mean, it ain't really hard, but all right. So boom, first round pick Chase Young. Not only did he peak in 2020, but he's now no longer on the roster. The second pick, third round pick, Antonio Gibson, definitely peaked in 2020, and it's probably not going to be on the roster next year, more than likely, right? Sadiq Charles was the third pick in that draft. As a tackle, he's now playing guard. I see DT making a kind of weird face about Sadiq Charles. Like
he's not here. He might not be here next year.
Likely, but he's a fringe backup starter, tackle guard. Like whatever. Yeah. Antonio Gandy Golden is the fourth pick. He's no longer playing football. Period. Keith Ismail was the fifth pick in that draft. I don't even think. I think he may be on a roster somewhere, but he's definitely not on this roster.
Yeah, he's on the practice squad last year because we brought him back. No, a team took him off our practice.
Yeah, somebody signed him off our practice squad.
This was last year.
It was somebody out west. It was somebody out west, I believe.
Yeah.
The sixth pick was Khaleke Hudson. Basically a special teams player, like little spurts here and there on defense. We have Cam Curl, that we can all agree probably peaked in 2020. Probably the best pick in this class, but depending on his usage, may or may not be back. I said yesterday.
I do think he has a higher. I think he do have a higher ceiling though.
Yeah, I think. But like I said yesterday, I think it's in his best interest to hit the open market and see what his value is. So I think that's best for both sides. And then James Smith-Williams was the final pick in that draft. So.
Yeah. Ishmael's on the Cardinals right now, so he's on his third. He's on his third team.
Okay.
So he went from the Commanders.
Was he on the active roster this year?
He's on the active roster. That's correct. He's not practice squad. So he was with the Commanders, then with the 49ers, and now he's with the Cardinals.
Yeah, I knew he was out west somewhere.
Yeah.
And then James Smith-Williams, that off and on, I forget he's on the roster. So that those are the picks from that draft.
We've got absolutely no pass rush since that trade. Do we even have a pressure? I only know we have a pressure since that trade.
Yeah, listen, like I said, it's the most agitating thing in the world when as a coach, after that trade, you can very much tell those players gave up. I like if you thought they didn't give up before, they definitely gave up after that trade, and you knew that they packed it in. You knew they were packing it in when that trade was made. As soon as that trade was made, I turned around to my boy and I said, "Yeah, we're not winning another game for the rest of the year." And hello,
The trade
here we
deadline
are,
was what, week 8,
week
Yeah.
9.
week
Yeah,
9.
trade deadline.
The
Yep.
fact that Montez Sweat had 6.5 sacks at the trade deadline, and then we went the rest of the season, and nobody else was able to get, no single person was able to get more than 6.5 sacks, and enabled Montez Sweat to lead 2 teams in sacks for the season is embarrassing. That is
Bro.
ridiculous.
But here's the nutty thing about it is the fact that once we made the trades and we fired, so we made the trades, then we fired Del Rio. You should have fired Del Rio before you made
Before
the
the
trade.
trade.
I agree.
Because Ron was just sending them. He didn't care.
Yeah, and then because that's what Ron started running stunts. He started running like, why all of a sudden you want to run stunts now? What are we waiting for? Like,
Yeah.
I think
Um,
Curl got some dog. I think Curl got a dog in him. I think there's still a lot to be desired, though. I think that it's going to take a different position coach or coordinator to unlock the remainder that's there.
Like
Sure.
he's not considered, in that Derwin James range.
No,
Not at all.
Safety.
Not at all. Not at all.
not a Kyle Allen. He's not a Kyle Allen.
Now
That's another person we whipped on.
he may benefit from this being a fairly weak free agency class or safety, so he may get a nice payday just based on what the class is. But
I think he will.
I
I
think
think he'll
there's
get at least 15.
yeah.
I think 15. I think he'll get at least.
To be completely honest with you, I personally would not pay him 15.
I would agree with you.
But like Trail, I think Trail said earlier, like somebody like Raheem Morris,
Yeah,
that make him a Pro Bowl. Easy.
probably.
Easy.
But
All right.
I mean,
Let's get through the comments. Just throw them up on the screen if any left. DT, Coach, let the people know where they can find you at. If you want to shout out, Coach.
3.5.
You got some.
fans.
Yeah.
You can find me at Coach Dwayne C on Twitter. So it's Coach and then DEWAYNEC, and just find me on Twitter. Go ahead and give me a follow, man.
Yeah, man, and talk about some of your kids. You got some kids.
Yeah, man. Look,
got some scholarships, man.
We doing our thing, man. Trying slowly but surely. I got one of my receivers who just played in the high school All-American games. His name is Ethan Horns. He's got a couple of offers that he's looking at. It's a little rough right now. If you're, I try to tell people, if you're a 3-star athlete right now, listen. If you got kids that are even at 3-star athletes and they need help, I'll do what I can, because it is. The portal is killing it. If you are not a 4 or 5-star athlete, it's hard for these kids to get in school. And so I'm trying my best to try to get them through it as best as possible. I got one kid, his name is Josiah Bryson. He's coming up on his senior year. He's looking at Boston. Boston's college is looking at him right now. So we got some kids that they're doing their thing. A couple of my linemen are looking at Tech right now as well, Virginia Tech. So we trying over there at Colonial Forge High School, but we got some work to do for certain, because we gotta get back against that school that's called Freedom High School in Virginia. We're gonna try to make it run.
I mean, let's get a little toxic real quick.
We gave Freedom a little smoke.
On that note, shout out to Yam. Yam is over in Japan, always giving love to all of the Commanders content creators. I think you come home this year, right, Yam? Is it this year or next year? But that
was on PFF, which I believe is analytically based. Which also Benjamin St. Juice is one of the best corners in football.
Yeah, I don't fool with PFF. We ain't going down that rabbit hole.
Yeah.
What does your eyes tell you?
What is your eyes?
Nah, bro.
Okay, yeah, March 31st. Okay, cool.
Outside of making tackles, there is a lot to be desired from that player. Yeah, he's a good football player, but outside of making tackles, there's a lot to be desired.
So let me ask you this: Can y'all set up, bump next year between the two high schools? I mean, what's up?
Maybe like a scrimmage. I think we only got one open date next year.
I don't know. That's not. I'm not in control of that stuff. And listen, my coaches, they don't go out of state until they get the top. We not there where we should be. So there was once upon a time we used to do it. That's DC. That's Freedom went up. Y'all scrimmaged them, right?
Yeah.
I heard they beat y'all up. I heard.
Nah, no, whoa, no.
Here we go.
It was
Here we go.
36-19, I believe, was the final score.
Hey, Freedom ain't no. I ain't
But
gonna
Freedom
cap.
averaged like 60 points a game last year.
Yeah, they good. They good, but they ain't beat us by 40. I tell you that. That's why I tell people all the time. They all the big slay is Freedom by 40, but they ain't beat us by 40. So they not gonna be as good as they were a year ago. So we just gotta, over here in Virginia, we just gotta get our get back. That's all it is.
Yeah,
appreciate
I got
you
me a ring
again.
this year though, so I'm chasing number 2, baby. Chasing number 2.
I feel you.
Again, shout out to everybody that joined us using your time. Shout out to Coach Coles for joining us today. This is Fan Appreciation Week. We having fans come up each day this week. Again, if you want to be part of the podcast, send us a message on Twitter. All of our information will be in the description of this podcast. Send us a comment on this episode on YouTube. Please like and subscribe, follow, and please share. We know your time is very valuable for you to spend it with us. We definitely appreciate it. Remember, do it because you love it, not because it loves you. One beat, one sound, one heart.